Welcome to our noon edition of Arirang News. Here are the headlines at this hour. More junior doctors are expected to join the thousands who've walked off the job in protest of the government's medical school quota hike. Medical school graduates are also refusing to take internships. The presidential office has slammed doctors for putting patients' lives at risk, which officials says is not seen anywhere else in the world. Another emergency economic meeting was held this morning. Officials there said they would strengthen Korea's green industry by fostering 1,000 startups by the year 2027. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has said that over the past 2 years since Moscow invaded Kyiv, around 31,000 Ukrainian troops have died. The figures are far lower than estimates by the Kremlin and the West. We're now into the second week since thousands of doctors resigned in protest against the government's medical school quota hike. The healthcare standoff does not seem like it will end anytime soon. More med school graduates and fellows are considering joining the nationwide strike. To stop the medical shortage crisis from exacerbating, the Interior Minister said that the government would not hold doctors accountable if they return to their posts by February 29th. Shin Se-byuk starts us off.
Now it's new medical school graduates who are set to join the nation's large-scale trainee doctor strike by refusing to take internships. Hospitals have been scrambling, relying on attending physicians and professors to step in to fill medical service gaps left by a mass exodus of trainee doctors that began last Tuesday. However, the healthcare crisis is poised to deepen with medical school graduates turning down intern positions. According to Seoul National University Hospital, 80 to 90% of interns due to start on March 1st haven't signed their contracts. While at Busan National University Hospital in Busan, all 50 internship candidates slated to start Friday have resigned. Fellows are also contemplating joining the collective action by not renewing their contracts. Attending and fellow doctors from around 80 university hospitals nationwide issued a statement last week where they said that practicing medicine has become untenable amid vilification by the public. The staffing shortage has forced major Seoul hospitals to cut surgeries and treatments by up to half. So far, nearly 80% of the nation's 13,000 trainee doctors from 94 major hospitals have resigned. As of Monday, Samsung Medical Center reduced its surgery schedule by 45 to 50%. Seoul Asan Hospital initially scaled back surgeries by 30 to 40% during the first week of the strike, but has now decided to reduce them further to 40 to 50%. Other hospitals like St. Mary's Hospital and Seoul National University Hospital have also adjusted their surgery schedules in response to the strike. As the strike wave spreads, the nation's Interior Minister Lee Sang-min said in a briefing on Monday that the government would not hold doctors accountable if they return to work by February 29th. He also urged doctors to engage in dialogue with the government for better medical service conditions. In the meantime, the Korean Medical Association has called for an immediate halt to the government's expansion plans, warning of legal action. Arguing such a move would not only compromise the quality of medical education, the KMA said the entire medical sector will fight back using every legal means available until the end. Meanwhile, the KMA is planning a massive rally in Yeouido on the 3rd of the next month, with 20,000 doctors expected to attend. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
President Yoon will highlight measures to support young people and temporary workers as he continues his tour of regions across the country to discuss policies on improving livelihoods. On Sunday, his office said Yoon will hold 7 to 8 more rounds of government briefings with members of the public on specific regional issues or industries with wide-ranging economic impact. 14 of the briefings have taken place since January, mostly in the Seoul capital area, but they have been expanding to other cities and provinces, focusing on nurturing the semiconductor and nuclear energy sector, small and mid-sized businesses, land development, and medical reform. The office says future topics will include improving conditions for youth, temporary workers, and the use of digital platforms for public good. Aligning with the global mission to go carbon neutral, South Korea pledged to support green startups, specifically by providing step-by-step guidance to pre-unicorn firms in the green industry and helping them expand globally. Our Moon Hae-ryun has the details.
In an emergency economic meeting held on Monday, the government revealed its plans for strengthening the country's green industry for global markets.
We will be strengthening support for the green industry by fostering 1,000 green startups by 2027.
It also aims to nurture 10 select pre-unicorn firms in the industry. Pre-unicorn companies are startups with a value of over 100 billion Korean won, or roughly $75 million. The government plans to provide step-by-step support from setting up their business to overseas expansion, including operating a green startup lab where companies can test run their technologies and products. As pre-unicorn companies are currently unable to apply for various types of support due to their comparatively lower sales, the government is aiming to supplement this. Furthermore, 10 key sectors of green businesses have been selected for concentrated support, as the government deems domestic technology in said areas to be among the world's best. These include the likes of secondary batteries, renewable energy waste, and waste plastic. In order to advance into new overseas markets, the government will be targeting specific environmental problems facing each country and offering solutions. Examples stated were proposing alternatives for safe water management policies in Southeast Asian countries and branding Seoul's resource circulation policies for South American countries that are reliant on landfill sites without recycling. Another topic area that was discussed in the meeting was furthering financial support for vulnerable groups such as small business owners that are struggling with high interest rates on their loans. By the end of next month, the government plans to come up with a specific outline for who will be able to receive support and how, such as offering rent support and returning interest paid on loans. 문혜령, Arirang News.
The prices that people in South Korea pay for public services saw an on-year increase in January, despite the government's stance of freezing them in the first half of the year. Statistics Korea on Monday said its basket of 30 public services, including utilities, healthcare, and transport, increased by 2.2% compared to the year before. That is the biggest rise in 27 months, and rising fees for hospitals and public transport were the main factors behind the increase. A government official said it will work with local governments to try to keep the rates from rising in the first half of the year. And it's graduation season in Korea. Usually, the local flower industry sees a boost in sales during this time of the year, but with rising living costs, flower prices have also soared, pushing people to look for more affordable ways to buy flowers for their loved ones. Our Park Gun-woo has more on this trend.
Only about 60%. This is what one flower shop owner said when asked how much sales had recovered during the recent graduation season compared to pre-pandemic levels. Graduation season in Korea during December through February is usually when the flower industry sales blossom. But lately, it's been wilting.
Because people haven't been buying flowers that often even after COVID-19, the need for flowers has disappeared. If people had been continuously buying flowers, they would be interested in buying them and sometimes even making a habit out of buying flowers.
One expert offered other reasons.
There's the perception that flowers are too expensive, and along with the decrease of the school-age population, shrinking overall consumption are other reasons as well.
According to the auction price data from Korea Agro-Fisheries and Food Trade Corporation earlier this month, the prices of many flowers used in graduation bouquets saw on-year increases. In particular, hydrangea was up by around 150%, gypsophila rose by 30%, and freesia around 10%. Experts say factors include bad weather and increased imports of low-cost flowers. So, due to higher prices, people are looking at ways to buy flowers more cheaply.
I usually go to flower markets and buy them in bulk to get them at a more reasonable price.
Some are even trading flowers through used goods smartphone apps. A graduation bouquet like this can cost as much as between $20 and $50, but they are also being traded at lower prices, sometimes reduced by more than 50% on used goods apps. Bouquets that are said to have been used only for a short time to take pictures with at graduation ceremonies are being traded using these platforms. With this having a knock-on effect on the flower industry, one expert says there are ways to see it bloom again.
The distribution stage should be reduced, prices should be lowered for consumers. and appropriate compensation should be given to farmers and for labor costs due to the change in the labor environment.
And the expert concluded the government should come up with actual measures to revive the industry, along with its 5-year promotional plan announced in 2022 to increase flour production volume by over $520 million by the year 2026. 박건우, Arirang News.
A South Korea-based company has been included in a new list of U.S. sanctions for supporting Russia's war effort in Ukraine. Daesung International Trading, a company located in South Korea's southeastern city of Gimhae, was among 93 entities on the list announced by the U.S. on Friday, a day before the second anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. An official from Seoul's foreign ministry said the head of the company is a Pakistani national and that the South Korean government had shared information on the entity list with the U.S. in advance. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said Sunday that 31,000 of his country's troops had lost their lives in the 2 years of the war. That shoots down Russia's estimate of 150 to 300,000 dead Ukrainian soldiers. Lee Seung-jae reports.
Saturday marked 2 years since Russia's invasion of Ukraine began the war that's still very much ongoing. The brutal war has led to the death of many civilians, but the Ukrainian government had not released an official figure on the number of soldiers killed in action. However, on Sunday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy held a press conference in Kyiv and said that a total of 31,000 of the country's soldiers had been killed in the war. He slammed lies by Russian President Vladimir Putin and his government that some 150 to 300,000 Ukrainian soldiers died on the battlefield. Still, the Ukrainian leader said that each death is a huge loss to the country. Both Ukraine and Russia have kept the scale of their military's troop losses confidential to prevent enemies from using the death toll for propaganda purposes. So far, major foreign media outlets have only been estimating the number of military deaths by citing internal sources. The 31,000 military deaths announced by President Zelenskyy is significantly lower than the figure claimed by Russia and the amount of Ukrainian troop losses estimated by the West. UK-based newspaper The Economist last November reported that American officials estimated that 70,000 Ukrainian soldiers were killed in action, while 120,000 were injured. The New York Times reported last August that Russian military casualties had reached 300,000, while Ukrainian military casualties reached approximately 200,000. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu claimed last month that Ukraine lost 215,000 troops in just 2023 alone. During Sunday's press briefing, Zelenskyy further called for Western support and urged the U.S. Congress to pass an additional budget for Ukraine. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that a basic outline of a ceasefire deal for Israel and Hamas has been agreed. Speaking to CNN and NBC, Sullivan on Sunday said representatives of Israel, the U.S., Egypt, and Qatar are discussing hostage negotiations for a temporary ceasefire in Paris, and that they have reached an agreement on the basic outline. U.S. media outlet Axios reported that a deal had been sent to Israel, which includes a 6-week ceasefire if Hamas releases about 40 hostages. Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said Sunday that even if there is a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, attacks against the Lebanese armed faction Hezbollah will be strengthened. This comes as the militant group fired missiles and rockets and sent drones into Israel's northern border area, resulting in casualties in northern Israel. Now over in culture. South Korean directors took top prizes at the 74th Berlin International Film Festival, which is seen as being among the most prestigious competitions in the world. Director Sang-soo won the Silver Bear Grand Jury Prize for his film A Traveler's Needs, and director Kim Hye-young won the Crystal Bear for the best film for It's Okay. Lee Eun-jin tells us more.
Director Sang-soo's 31st feature film, A Traveler's Needs, premiered at the 74th Berlin International Film Festival and on Saturday won the Silver Bear Grand Jury Prize. telling the story of a French woman played by French actress Isabelle Huppert, who travels to Korea where she teaches a local woman to speak French. The movie highlights the themes of life's unbearable nature and the importance of communication. This is Hong's 7th time entering the Berlinale competition section and his 5th time winning the Silver Bear. 6 South Korean films were featured at this year's festival, highlighting once again the diversity and creativity of Korean cinema. In his acceptance speech, Hong thanked the jury for the prize and said he did not know what the jurors saw in his film exactly, which drew laughter from the audience. But he also expressed how he trusted working with actress Isabelle Huppert.
This might sound very, very irresponsible, but I don't know what I am doing in a way. As I said to her, I have some objective, and I have a kind of a recognized working method that I like. I have developed, and I believe in a certain, how can I say, happening between people.
Huppert has developed a unique relationship with the Korean auteur. Marking her 3rd film with Hong, she spoke of how everything in her relationship with the director has been unscripted and by chance.
I did 2 other films with Sang-soo, and his way of making films is unique. I only know him for doing films like this, and so I was enthusiastic about repeating the experience. In fact, it's very difficult to project yourself in a story or in a role because there is no role and no story. So, and this is what I really like about it.
Also in competition at the festival was the feature directorial debut of Kim Hae-young. Her film It's Okay, about an orphaned young dancer, won the Crystal Bear for Best Film, an award given out by a jury of children in the Generation K+ section that's dedicated to coming-of-age stories. The Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism, Yoon, sent congratulatory messages to the 2 directors, praising this achievement as a proud moment that announces the elevated status of Korean cinema worldwide. Jin, Arirang News.
Actors Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Austin Butler, and Stellan Skarsgård came to Seoul last week to promote their new film, Dune Part 2. With this, Timothée Chalamet will have 2 movies on the big screen. So what's in store for moviegoers this time around in Korean theaters? Our culture correspondent Hong Yujin walks us through.
My name is Timothée Chalamet. I play Paul Atreides in Dune Part 2.
This 28-year-old American actor is currently making waves at the Korean box office. The musical fantasy film Wonka, featuring Chalamet as young Willy Wonka, topped the box office for 22 consecutive days following its release, becoming the first film of the year to surpass 2 million ticket sales. While February is considered a low season for the big screen, Wonka is about to face competition from another Chalamet film, the sci-fi Dune Part 2. This sets the stage for a 2-way showdown between the chocolate man Chalamet and the space army commanding Chalamet.
And I feel that my films, whether it's The King or Dune or Wonka right now, have been as warmly received in Korea as they have been anywhere in the world.
It's a blockbuster sequel following Part 1's triumph during the pandemic. Despite COVID's grip, the Frank Herbert novel-based sensation raked in $400 million at the global box office and sold over 1.6 million tickets in Korea alone. This sensation even brought up the term dun친자, meaning Duniac in Korean.
Dune's success comes from the star power of Timothée Chalamet, director Denis Villeneuve's visual effects, and his skillful handling of suspense. Although the genre of space opera wasn't particularly popular in Korea, the movie succeeded because it simplified the original novel's universe into this tight, gripping storyline, making it enjoyable for all.
Part 2 will focus on the main character, Paul Atreides, seeking revenge against the people who killed his family. Oppenheimer director Christopher Nolan likened the movie to Empire Strikes Back, often regarded as the best in the Star Wars film franchise.
I will say that Dune Part 2 is a much more muscular movie, meaning about action.
However, the two Chalamet movies are facing another strong competitor. The Korean occult thriller Exuma, starring veteran actor Choi Min-sik, ended Wonka's 3-week box office dominance on the day of its premiere. For the movies themselves, it's a competition, but a treat for film enthusiasts. 송유진, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. In the United States, former President Donald Trump has won the South Carolina Republican presidential primary. Trump, following news of his victory on Saturday, said that he's never seen the Republican Party so unified as it is right now. He defeated the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, who vowed to continue her 2024 presidential campaign in a speech titled "The Fight Goes On" after a South Carolina primary loss. Saturday's defeat is a painful blow to Haley, who was born in South Carolina and served as the state's governor from 2011 to 2017. Trump has been victorious in all three of the other Republican presidential primaries in Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada. Now, the American voters wait for next week's Super Tuesday, where more than a dozen states will cast their votes in the presidential primaries. In Spain, police confirmed Saturday that 10 people were killed in a fire that swept a 14-story apartment block in the country's eastern city of Valencia on Thursday. Some 100 survivors remain housed in a local hotel or with relatives as they seek for a more permanent solution. Hundreds of people gathered outside of Valencia City Hall on Saturday for a moment of silence to mourn the victims. Amid the tragedy came the story of a Ukrainian family who lost everything in the fire, being helped by a Russian family. According to media reports, Ukrainian Hambarov Dmitro and his family received clothes and food from a Russian family in Valencia following the blaze. In the UK, junior doctors in England began a 5-day strike on Saturday over pay disputes with the government. This is the 10th junior doctor strike since last March, when the British Medical Association asked for a 35% pay rise, but was turned down by the country's ministers. According to Health Secretary Victoria Atkins, more than 1.3 million hospital appointments and operations have already been cancelled or rescheduled since the strike began. Junior doctors in Northern Ireland are planning to take a similar protest for 2 days in March. The latest polling from YouGov showed that 50% of the UK public still supports the junior doctors, while 43% were against them. In entertainment news, the 30th annual Screen Actors Guild Awards took place at the Shrine Auditorium and Expo Hall in Los Angeles on Saturday. Director Christopher Nolan's film, Oppenheimer, continued to show its dominance in this year's awards season as it won the Best Film Cast, while Cillian Murphy won Best Actor and Robert Downey Jr. Best Supporting Actor for the same film. In television categories, Stephen Yeun and Ali Wong won Best Actor and Best Actress in a TV movie or limited series for their roles in the TV series Beef. Best Actor and Actress in a comedy series went to the cast of the TV series The Bear, Jeremy Allen White and Ayo Edebiri. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. We had a freezing start to the new week in the capital, but highs are going up fast to reach above norms, topping out at 9 degrees in the afternoon. And tomorrow looks to be similar to what we have today. Meanwhile, there's no end in sight for snow in mountainous regions of Gangwon-do. In fact, the area was crowded over the weekend with people wishing to catch the snow-capped mountains. And more snow is in the forecast, with mountainous regions in Gangwon-do potentially seeing up to 7 centimeters through tomorrow. The rest of the East Coast could see up to 5 centimeters of snowfall. Highs are going up similar to slightly lower than season norms in most places. Gyeongju and Chuncheon see highs of 8 degrees this afternoon, and Jeju will only see a high of 9 degrees Celsius. Then we can expect brighter skies than yesterday. Thursday looks to be a wet one nationwide, then spring cold is in store for the start of March. Saturday, we are looking at lows going down as low as -7 degrees here in the capital. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That's all we have for you at this hour. We'll bring you more updates from Korea and around the world at the same time tomorrow.